Broadcasting from Silicon Valley, California, this is Conversations with Jennylyn.
Watching Conversations with Jennylyn, and I am so excited because today I have someone in Ireland to share with you. His name is Smale, and he is an SEO specialist. And I especially wanted to do this segment with him because so much of our lives now are online. And I've been producing videos for 11 years, but I've not put any energy into really getting it where it needs to be so it's accessible. But I'm changing that now, and this is why Jamie is sitting across from me today, because he will explain what SEO is. And since he is an expert, he is going to share as much as he can and not give away all of his secrets unless he wants to.
Yeah, why not?
Welcome to Conversations with Jennylyn, Jamie. It's so great to do this with you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's a real honor for me. So thank you.
So,
yeah,
COVID came along, the pandemic came along and forced us all into online living, sort of, because almost all of our communication now is online, although there was a lot of online life happening prior. In some ways, it feels to me like we were being prepared for this. And so prior to COVID, 80% of my shows were done in were produced in a television studio and played on, it's syndicated, so it plays on different channels in different parts of the world, although I've never tracked it to see exactly where. But then COVID came, and I think I've done over 200 videos since COVID, but I'm not sure that I am promoting them the way they need to be. And someone introduced you and I thought, why not do a show with you? So anyone else wanting to promote their material will learn how they can do that. So why don't you start by telling us what SEO is?
Yeah, certainly. Okay, so surprisingly, a lot of people have never heard of SEO, but SEO, it stands for Search Engine Optimization. That's what it stands for. And to define what that means, basically, it's making your virtual real estate, be it your website or whatever property you have online, usually a website, search engine friendly. So what happens is, on the internet, most people, when they go on the internet, they begin with a search, right? Makes sense. So if you were sitting down to, go online for a particular purpose, unless you knew where you were going, you would search for it.
Right.
And so where do you search for it? Search for it in a search engine, right? So what an SEO service does, or if, either a service or if you're doing it yourself, basically what it achieves is it makes your content readable and friendly to search engines so that they can ascertain what your content's about so that you can be found in search. So in a nutshell, that's what SEO is. And it's very important because that's, how else do we find things on the internet? We search for it. You got a search bar on Google. People say, oh, I must go and Google it, right? It's a very well-known saying, you hear it all the time. You think of something and you think, oh, I'll go and Google it. Well, Google is a search engine. There's a search bar there. There's even search engines that we don't think of as search engines, like, for example, YouTube. YouTube is like the third I think it's the third, if I'm not mistaken, the third busiest website on the entire internet. Well, there's a search bar right at the top. So, even if you're looking for video content, you're going to search for the content you want. And so what you're going to do is you're going to type in a word or a phrase. And, if you are SEOing, if you're trying to SEO your content, you've got to try and anticipate what do the public, how do they string their words together? How do they, conduct a search. What do they search? Yeah. So then we have what we call keyword research, where we actually research that, and we can actually get data on the types of words, the words or the phrases or the sentences or the questions, what people are searching. Yeah. And so what we want to do is we want to be found for the relevant search terms and phrases that our content provides.
This
That
is
makes sense.
great. I
So
never thought of
how it's-
YouTube as a search engine. So you said it's one of the top. So what are the other top search engines that maybe people are oblivious to? It would be nice to hear from you what they are.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, okay. So I think of it like this, right? Google is just enormous. And we think of other search engines like Yahoo, Bing, and then there's others. But Yahoo and Bing, most people have heard of. There's actually hundreds of search engines. But I think of it, I use the analogy like the solar system, right? So in our solar system, we've got the sun, and then we've got Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, we've got all the planets, right? And if you can imagine that like of the planets, like Jupiter is obviously enormous, right? And that's like Google. So if you take all the other planets and put them right beside Jupiter, they're tiny. And in actual fact, Google has like 90% of the search market. Yeah. And so like that's why, going back to when I was saying, people say, oh, I must go and Google it. Right? You don't say, oh, I'll go and Yahoo that, or I'll go and Bing that. Like Bing and Yahoo have like 5%, 3%, 5% of the search market. So really, people ask me, oh, I want to be on all the search engines. Well, and I'm thinking, well, you know what? If you achieve it on Google, you've made it. Because like that is the go-to search engine, right? So you were asking me about other search engines, and like you said, YouTube, most people don't think of it as a search engine. Well, I think it's like the third. I think Facebook is the second largest after Google. So Facebook isn't a search engine, but there is a search bar, and people do search the stuff on Facebook. Not usually for shopping.
Can I interrupt
Yeah,
you
but
to ask you something quickly about that?
yeah. Yeah, go for
When
it.
you use this Facebook search engine, does it only access information that's on the Facebook, or does it actually bring up
Oh.
anything like Google?
Oh no, only Facebook. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you were searching, for example, like, I don't know, personal development, for example, it will bring up like Facebook groups, Facebook pages. So it's only like contained on Facebook. Yeah. Yeah, Google will bring up everything, everything, no matter where it is, right? And then of course YouTube, it's only going to bring up YouTube videos, But yeah, so by far, yeah.
So Google
Go
is
ahead.
the only search bar or search engine that will access everything else. The others are limited.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Google is like the internet search. YouTube is like you're going to get served video results, contained on YouTube. Facebook will just be Facebook groups, Facebook pages, that kind of thing, or people. Yeah, so Google, Google is the internet search engine, and yeah, but search engine optimization, like they all have similar algorithms. I mean, I don't go out of my way to rank on Bing and Yahoo, but by default, if you do, you do anyway, for all the good that it does, you do rank on them,
So if you search,
But
if you look something up using Bing, or if you look something up using Yahoo, you're not guaranteed to have the results you would if you went to Google. Is that what you're saying?
well, yeah, I mean, they would do their best to get good results for you, but I would say Google is the best. You see, really, you got to get into the mind of the search engine. So what's the search engine trying to achieve? Well, they're actually the search engine, they want to be the biggest and the best, and obviously Google is winning by a long way, because they want to serve the most relevant, informative information according to your search. And if they can do that, then it means that they have an attractive offer to advertisers, because using Google as a search engine is free, right? and of course they want billions and billions of people to come and search and use it every day and spend time and search things on it every day. They're collecting your data. They're, you know, obviously, you know, they know us all. And then they can go to their advertisers and say, hey, we got like billions of people that search for information, and like we've really got it down. We know how to get people the right, you know, targeted websites for their searches, and then that's targeted advertising, so it's attractive to advertisers. But you know, I was just thinking, and I've often thought this because you brought up about COVID, and it's, you know, it's kind of scary when you think that Google, they kind of have the monopoly on the information that we are fed, right? So like the info, you know, like we go on the internet, we search for information, right? And we get the information that is served to us. And, you know, just recently, I was like Googling like COVID-19 kind of keywords, right? And phrases and questions and that kind of thing. And it's really interesting that like the whole page 1 of search results was dominated by government websites and mainstream media, right? So anyone who has anything to offer by way of information on COVID-19 that are not like government or mainstream media, they just don't get, you know, and like, I mean, that's kind of interesting, isn't it?
It's interesting, but my question is, and I am not marketing for Google. People watching, I am not promoting Google, but would you say that Google is the superior search engine by far?
Oh yeah, I would say so. I would say it's not just me saying it is.
And so my next question is,
yeah, Google
as an SEO expert, what advice do you have for people who are either posting material or looking for material? What's the best advice knowing that this search engine is the most superior? How do you make your material Google friendly so that it comes up in their search engines?
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked, because that's a good question. And I'm sure lots of people want to know, especially if you have a business or you are going into business, you want to grow your business. And I'll just say this, the SEO is a very, very worthwhile pursuit, right? Because let's compare it to paid advertising. So when you do paid advertising, you're only getting results whilst you're paying money, right? And as soon as you stop paying for that traffic, then the traffic's going to stop. SEO is different. It has residual benefits. So if you can establish your web presence organically, organic, that's a phrase that's used a lot in SEO, right? So it's all about like organic traffic, you know, achieving it organically, and then like you can hold that, and all your traffic's free. So for example, you could like, there might be a keyword that you really want to bring in traffic for that particular search term, right? And it will cost you an amount of money per click, no matter what happens when you arrive to your site. They may buy something, they may not buy something, it may be a waste of a click, but you're going to pay for that click. And you imagine how many clicks you're going to get. And then you imagine that it can be a lot of money. And of course, when your budget runs out, then that's it, you're done. But if you do SEO, you can achieve a lot of traffic for a long time to come. So how do you do that? So yeah, basically, it, like, people listening, they may think this is really hard to do, but it's actually not. It's not as hard. SEO service providers would like you to think that it's complicated, because, you know, people are going to pay them for their services, but it's actually really simple, and it's gotten easier as time has gone on, right? And I'll tell you why.
You're so humble. I love
it. Oh, thank you.
They're gonna hate you.
Well, yeah, you see, yeah, what happens is, like, it used to be in the old days, because Google is evolving, right? And it used to be that when Google, in its primitive days, you could like throw keywords into your content willy-nilly and put links all around the internet willy-nilly, and that you could trick Google into thinking my website's great, send people to my website when they search for ladies' shoes, for example, right? And Google would fall, and you would get ranked, you would get ranked easily. But those days are gone. And now it's like, I don't know if you would call it artificial intelligence or what, but Google has become so evolved that it can recognize like good content from bad content. And of course, they want to serve good content, and they can actually tell what good content is from bad content now, as opposed to the old days where they didn't really care because they didn't know. There was no way of knowing, yeah, because it's it's obviously not, it's not human being. This is all robots or whatever, right? So the way in which, so this is what I mean by it's become easier, because it used to be that you had to really know to work the system, you got to know the algorithms, you got to know how to work your way around it, find the loopholes and all that, right? But now, if you forget all of that and you just, if there's one takeaway from everything I'm going to say, and that is produce quality content, right? Produce quality content. And I've got a system, and this is the best way to make sure that you've got good content. So whatever you want to rank for, Google that, and then find whoever's ranking #1 on Google, and then just become even better than them. So for example, let's say that you have a recipe for pancakes, right? And you want to rank for your pancake recipe, or how to make pancakes. That's what you want those people to come to your site, because that's what your page is about, and you need that targeted traffic, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you Google it and you find out who has already achieved it, right? So stand on the shoulders of the giants. Let's have a look at who's there, who's done it, and let's check it out. So you check it out, and then you look at it, and what you do is you think, okay, well, how can I now create my page even better than theirs? So if they've written like 500 words, then you're going to write 1,000 words. Yeah, maybe you're going to go into more detail. Maybe you have more infographics, more graphics. You may have some video tutorials. You're going to just create a better user experience, and maybe you're going to the cooking apparatus that is used, and as well as the ingredients, where to buy the ingredients, just create a really good user experience, because that's what it really boils down to. It's the user experience. Google are looking for a good user experience. And how do they grade that? Well, how they grade that is oh, I've got some water. I was getting thirsty and I didn't realize. So here you go. So how they grade the user experience is okay, so if you have a website, you want to have Google Analytics, and you want to look at your analytics regularly, because there's so much insight. So you don't just get the number of visitors to your website, because that's nice to know, but that's not the be all and end all. You want to know not only how many people are coming to your website, but how long are they staying on your website? Do they engage with your content? Do they go from page to page? Where do they click? And this kind of thing. And so you've got metrics such as page stay duration, number of sessions per visit, how many pages they visited. You got all these insights. And so this is how Google know if you've got a nice website. So before I was saying, oh yeah, about Google know if you've got a good website and if your website's worthy to be ranked on page 1. Well, how do they know? They know by how long people stay on there and what they do when they're on there, right? Because that's data that is collected. So it's not rocket science. They track it. They know, right? So let's say that someone goes to your site and they're there for 5 seconds and then they click off, right? They just leave your site and they go back to the search engine and look for somewhere else to go. So, if that were you, right, you would think to yourself, let's say you were Google, okay? And you were aware that this had happened, that you would say, well, I'm not really recommend this site, because everyone who goes there, they're only there a few seconds and then just leave. So that tells a story that says, well, you know what, it's probably not that good. Whereas another website in your same niche, one of your competitors, let's say that some people go there and they're there for 5 minutes and they visit 3 or 4 pages, they're filling out a form, they're doing various things. Google knows that, because that's all tracked. And so Google, they think to themselves, if Google were able to think, right, this is what they would think. They would think, well, there's a good website, because compared to that one, well, over there, they're only there for a few seconds. Whereas like these guys that talk about the same thing, people that go there, they're there for 5 minutes. So, you know, evidently it's better. Therefore, we're going to rank them higher than those guys. And that really and truly, it sounds very simple.
That's terrific. So wait, how are they doing this? They have to be using AI for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not a real tech head, right? I'm not like techie and all that, right? But it's to do with cookies, isn't it? Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, the days of like privacy is over. I mean, like we're in this new age. Everything we do, like, you know, we're aware. Like Google is like the all-seeing eye, you know, it's like, you know, they control the information, they know what we're doing, they know what we're searching, they know, you know what I mean? So yeah, so like they know all that, and then that information is used against us with the advertisers, because then we get advertised to. I mean, yeah, I mean, have you ever like been on like say Facebook, and then you see an ad of something you searched an hour ago? Yeah, that's called retargeting. And yeah, so it's very clever what they're doing.
Of course.
In fact, it's funny because, you know, yeah, it is. You know, I just thought,
I had someone on
sorry,
my show years ago talking about artificial intelligence. And I was happy I had him on my show, because I kept thinking it can't be coincidence that the pair of shoes that I looked at, I mean, I looked at it. How does Facebook know how much energy I spent on that pair of shoes? And they clearly knew, because it kept popping up on almost everything I looked at on Facebook. And when I interviewed the gentleman from the AI, talking about AI, I put two and two together. They are using AI, this particular company, or whoever was selling the shoes, to track who is looking at their commodities and how long they're looking at it, to keep throwing it back at them like, hey, you like me, buy me, buy me. So I caught on.
Yeah.
I caught on to that. I put two and two together. Otherwise, it was like, I've had friends say to me, have you ever noticed when you looked at something on Facebook, it keeps showing up? And I go, yeah, I think it's AI. It's some type of AI, and they're using to make a mental or make a note of what we like, and so remind us that we like it to get us to eventually buy it.
Yeah, I know. It's incredible. I mean, I don't know, and maybe this is paranoia, but I've even heard stories. I've not had a personal experience, but I've heard stories of people that have told me that they've had a conversation in their living room, and they have an Alexa device in their living room, and like, and then the next thing, they're on the internet and they're seeing ads for something that like they never searched, but they think that Alexa has listened to them. But I don't know. Anyone listening who they may know if that's just like paranoia or what's going on there. I honestly don't know. But I've heard people say it. Has that ever happened to you?
Well, let me tell you, I had the first scientist who has ever worked for Amazon on my show. His name is Andreas Weijen, and he has written a book called Data for the People. And he told me, never get Alexa, because every single thing that these devices, every single thing that's happening in your home, these devices are recording it, and the information is being stored somewhere. But I have a boring life, so I have nothing that anybody will get a thrill from happening in my home. So I have, someone gave me a gift. Someone gave Alexa to me as a gift. So I have her here, and I'm sure that they're completely bored with what she's picking up in my house. But he was the first scientist at Amazon. And he has written, get this book. His name is Andreas Weijen. He's German. And the book is called Data for the People. Get it. And then you put two and two together.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Nothing surprises me. I mean, it's believable. Yeah.
Actually, I got the Alexa as a Christmas present. And it sat 8 months in my house before I actually hooked it up. Because I was just after having him on my show, I'm like, oh my God, you know, are they gonna know when I brush my teeth, when I go to sleep, if I snore? I don't know, you know, because coming from someone who is an expert, I took what he told me very seriously.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah. See, I have a feeling that it collects data too, but then like you, I feel like I have a boring life, so I'm not, and I'm not committing any crimes, so I think I'm all right. Yeah, not that I can remember.
So
Yeah, but you know,
go ahead.
oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I thought that, you know, we have a mutual friend, Tom, right? Tom
Yes.
Palladino, and he said to me recently, he quoted that what Henry Ford said, because Henry Ford, he's famous for saying this, that like half the money I spend on advertising doesn't work, and half the money I spend on advertising does work. I don't know which half is which, right? And I thought that was funny when Tom told me that, and it reminded me of that saying, because back in Henry Ford's day, it was true. That was a very true statement back in that day, but
Because
it's not
there's
true
nowhere
today.
to track it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like
Oh,
if you have a business, sorry.
but now you can. There are many ways to track your marketing dollars now.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, if you run a business and you're putting money into here and money into there, you know, you're in no doubt as to whether something's working or whether it's not working. You know, so yeah, there's no
If
doubt.
you don't, you're not making note, you're not keeping track, and you don't have a system. But if you have a system, because I
Yeah.
used to have my own business, so if you have a system, you can
Mm,
clearly see, you know, where money is going and the
mm.
rewards you're getting for that money.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. I agree.
So, as an
I'm sorry, I
SEO
interrupted.
specialist, what
Hmm?
is important that people know?
Mm.
I don't want us to run out of time
Yeah.
before you tell us that.
Oh yeah, certainly. Okay, so I'll try and cut to the chase. Okay, so like yeah, so point number one is, as we've already gone over, quality content is, I would say, the most important thing. So important that it's even more important than SEO. And SEO should come after you create quality content. So then what you do is keyword research before you even do any SEO. Keyword research is also paramount. So there might be words that you think are like well searched terms, but you need to look at the data because the data doesn't lie. So there's keyword tools, right? You can get these keyword tools. You do research. It tells you how many people per month search this phrase, and it tells you the competition level as well. So what you want to do is you want to find like, you know, reasonable high volume search, and you want to find like low competition if you can, so that you're not working so hard. You know, get the low hanging fruit. So it might be that, like, say for example, you know, a broad keyword like, I don't know, credit cards. That's going to be highly, highly competitive. Like, you don't even want to go there. You don't want to try it because, you know, you can't compete with the big credit card companies. You're just not going to, you're never going to get on page one, right?
Right.
And, but you can go for a long tail keyword that contains the word credit cards. It's on the credit card topic, but it's like a phrase, a whole phrase, right? And that will be like more like low competition, right? So they're called long tail keywords. So you want to do your keyword research, find the low hanging fruit. You know, don't make life too hard for yourself. Don't think that you can rank, like if Walmart sells it and like and Amazon set you, do you know what I mean? Like if you, you know, you're not going to really, you know, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard work for yourself, right? So we want to find like lots of, you know, good keyword list. And then what you do is, in order to tell the search engines that this is what your page is about and that this is your intention for like the key phrase, you need to have that inside your content. So let's say you've got like a page on your website that's 1,000 words, let's say, right? You want to have that exact keyword that or key phrase that you intend to rank for. You've got to have that occurring inside your content, and don't force it. Like, it's got to be contextual. It's got to be like, you know, you obviously got to have like all your good grammar and good well structured sentences and paragraphs, and have it within in context. Yeah, so you know, in your, make it occur like 3-4 times in the body of your page, right? And also one of your headings as well. So you got your page title, then you got subtitles inside your website. So we call them heading tags. And then you would make sure that your key phrase is contained inside one of those heading tags. Also images, people neglect images. You see, like how Google know what an image is about is by the tag that you apply to it. So it's called an image alt tag. So you want to describe your images in that, whatever web builder you use, be it WordPress, Wix, whatever it is, you'll see there in the settings of your image, you can name your image, right? So describe your image, try and use your keyword or a secondary keyword in your images to describe your images, because so it's all these little things. You also have your meta tag title, meta tag description. I know a lot of people think, well, what's that, but there's obviously a lot of information to cover. But basically what you want to do is make sure that Google understand very clearly in the back end metadata of your page, and even in the front end, in the body of your content, what your keyword is, right? And then obviously like internal linkings, good navigation, you want to do outbound links, then you want to, I'm covering this so fast, I know. And then that's what we call on-page optimization. And then you got what's called off-page optimization. So that's the two types of SEO you have. So once you've got your website search engine friendly, then the second stage after that is you want to link back to your website from other websites with of the same niche, but that's got to be done with care as well, because again, in the old days, people abused it and they would just throw links out all over the place willy-nilly, and it was counterproductive. Well, it was productive once upon a time, but now it can be counterproductive and it can harm you rather than do you good. So you want to do your backlinking sparingly, and you want to do it quality, find organic, once again, that word organic, do it organically. See if you can guest post on so you, Jennylyn, you would maybe create a piece of content, a guest post on someone, an interviewer on another, and you would talk about each other, link to each other, and it looks organic, it feels organic, and Google like that. And you also want to link
Can
from
I
quality.
interrupt you for a second?
Yes, certainly.
Anyone watching this show, when we hear the word organic, we usually think of consumption, like vegetables and cattle and birds, Organic for us, that means they're corn-fed or whatever. What does the word organic mean for someone who doesn't understand? I get what you're saying, but for someone watching this, what does the word organic mean in the SEO system?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, so it's like a metaphor, right? And here's an analogy. So imagine if you're dating, right?
Yes.
And let's say that you arrange arrange dates very forced. You kind of use a platform and arrange a date, and then you meet someone, and it's but meeting someone organically is you're maybe taking a walk on the beach with your dog, and then there's a woman comes along with her dog, and then you get chatting, and it's organic, it's natural, right? And that's kind of, then if that sheds light on it. So with SEO and with any internet activity, if it's organic, it would be that you're not paying for services, forcing your success. Yeah, it's that people naturally want to talk to you because they believe that you're good.
Your content is engaging.
Yeah, exactly. If you create really good content, then people will want to link back to it,
Question for you. When I first started producing my show and I started posting it on YouTube, I was taught that you use tag words that will catapult your videos to the top when someone was looking for a particular whatever. If your video has relative information, that tag would catapult your video onto what the person is searching. Is that not true anymore?
No, it used to be. But again, like this is really interesting actually. And
So I'm
tags
wasting
help.
my time putting all the tags I put every time I post a video. I'm wasting my time.
I know. Yeah, okay. Well, no, you haven't wasted your time. It helps, right? Yeah. So here's the thing about YouTube, right? So your video title and your tags in your description, it goes a long way to helping you the success of your video. And even hashtags. You can have hashtags on your YouTube videos now. You're allowed 3, right? And
Where
then
do you
you'll
put them?
see.
Where should they be put?
Oh, they go in the description box,
Okay.
and you put them after your whatever description. You do
Okay.
hashtag, and then you write your hashtag, all lowercase. If you've got 2 words, you just do it as a singular word strand, and then you do space bar, a space, and then another hashtag, and then same again. And you have 3. If you do more than 3, you'll only get the first 3 you do, and then they appear. They appear up on there. Okay, so that all helps, but the number 1 ranking factor for YouTube is how long people spend watching your video. So if it goes back to that again, right? Because that's how they rank you now. So if people are watching like a lot of minutes, like in the analytics, you see the number of minutes viewed, right? So when people are watching your video for many minutes, like YouTube, they decide, oh, this YouTuber is really good because they're watching a lot of this. So that helps you rank. And that's the biggest ranking factor. People are only watching like 2 or 3 seconds, or they're just watching your intro and then they just think, oh, don't like that, and then off they go to another video. Then that's what.
So
That's
it's
what
very
doesn't.
so basically it's very important that you create content that is engaging, so that when they watch the first
Yeah, absolutely.
minute, you have them so sucked in that they want to watch it in its entirety.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's techniques to achieve that. So for example, like make sure that in your first 10 seconds that you really excite them about what you're going to talk about. Do you know what I mean? So like some YouTubers, they might start a video and spend 5 minutes talking about like, okay, talking about the company or whatever before they even get into the content, or like, please subscribe, like, please subscribe to my channel, please like this video, and yada yada yada. Meanwhile, 3-4 minutes has passed and they haven't even started yet, and then people are bored, and of course, how are they going to subscribe? They don't know what the video is about. So you really want to like make it exciting very early on, and thumbnails as well really help your YouTube videos get clicked and opened, your video thumbnail. So your title and video thumbnail will help to get your video watched in the first place. And then of course, then it's up to you as to, you've then got to try and keep them watching,
So you
Yeah.
recommend making your own thumbnails. Usually I use the default thumbnails, but you recommend
Yeah,
making your own, creating a thumbnail.
I do. I do. I think, if you can, then I recommend it. And there's tools that are super easy. See, I know that people listening, there'll be different technical levels, right? Some people will be terrified of the prospect of making their own thumbnail, and some people won't be worried about it at all. But you can make your own thumbnail, yeah, very
Can you
easily.
believe we ran out of time? But I'm not ready to let you go because
It's got
can you believe it? But what we're discussing is so important. So what haven't I asked you that's important that people know?
Oh, I don't know. I hope that we've covered like the fundamentals, the basics, like, stress the importance of good content and all that. And like, I know we kind of rushed over like what you have to do to get your content ranked, but it really is a long topic that requires probably a lot more of a discussion. But I
Well,
think
we can do a follow-up segment.
Certainly.
We'll do a follow-up segment and what we can do. But then I don't want you giving away all of your expertise because because it's your business. But we can find information because I am a novice when it comes to SEO. And I'm sure other people out there will be grateful for what you're sharing. Because oftentimes, if this is someone's business, they don't want to give you tips. They want to tell you how to contact them.
Oh yeah, certainly. Yeah, but it's a funny bit. If you do this business right, like the business I'm in, if you do it right and you're really truly good at it, all right, then you don't want very many clients because it's laborious work. You got to create content, you got to do all this work. So like, you know, and that's actually a piece of advice. Anyone looking for any service, any SEO service, if they're like cold calling and spam emails and desperately trying to recruit, it means they've got a high turnover of clients. Why do they have a high turnover of clients? Because maybe they're not very good, right? So a good SEO service provider will only work with a handful of clients because the services aren't cheap, and it's hard work, and if you spread yourself too thin, you're not going to deliver as good a service. So I've got my clients, and like I'm happy to give away, and they come to me organically. I get clients by word of mouth and that kind of thing. So I'm okay.
And if you're watching this, I am proud to announce I'm one of his clients.
Oh yeah.
I think that I did not realize how much I was doing and how quick this turns over. Because when I started 11 years ago, it was simply put in certain tag words. And people will just looking for, like, if you're looking for shoe, and I put shoe in my tagline, it will pull my video up. But apparently that is old school and doesn't happen now.
Well, yeah, because there's a lot more content on the internet now is what there ever was, So, whatever you do, there's like millions of other people with the same content. Usually.
Life is such an evolution. It's not, nothing is ever stuck. And so the things that are important to us, what I'm learning every day, is that I need to keep up with the evolution of whatever that is, because then I'll get stuck behind. And I don't like to be behind. I like to be leading the pack. So I have to up my game and stay on top of all the different changes.
Yeah, well, if it makes you feel any better, even like this is my business, and even I'm behind because it's so fast paced. It's changing all the time. But a good rule of thumb is act like a human being. What I mean by that is like the way Google is evolving and changing their algorithms is to stop people like trying to work the system do you know what I mean? Like they're Google are looking for quality organic content. They want people that know what they're talking about, who are creating the content and not outsourcing it to like a freelance copywriter. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like they want people really know the information they're providing, and you know what I mean. So like if you're one of those and you're just doing your own work and you're like, yeah, you'll probably do well.
Well, I would imagine if Google wants to make sure they maintain their reputation as leading the pack in terms of being the best search engine, they will want to be the resource that provides the best and most recent and accurate information. And the only way you do that is by sifting through, the trash, so that you have the best at your fingertips. At least that's my take on it. Jamie, before we go, what do you want to leave with my viewers? I always give everyone a chance to leave a final message with my viewers. What's yours going to be?
Oh, thank you. Okay. Not sure. Okay. Well, I would just say that, everyone who is aspiring to be in business or is already in business and wants to take their business to the next level, I would say that, yeah, SEO is a worthwhile pursuit. You should there's plenty of information on the internet about it. Any one of your viewers is more than welcome to, message me or email me or whatever. And, I consult.
Leave your contact information.
Yeah, certainly. Okay. Well, my website is premiumdigital.pro, and I'm on Facebook, Jamie Smale. I can maybe give you the links, and my email, jamie@premiumdigital.pro. In fact, I am trying to develop a DIY SEO kind of tutorial library, right? Which is in the works. It's not done yet, but at some stage I'll have that so that people can do it themselves, And, you know, because you can do it yourself or you can hire someone to do it for you. And, you know, so there's plenty of SEO service providers. You just have to be careful. There's a lot of charlatans out there as well, you know. So you just have to make sure you get someone who's good, you know.
Thank you
And
so
yeah,
much.
my message to everyone in the business. Yeah, thank you.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off. Were you finished?
No, I'm finished. Yeah.
Well, we'll do this again. We'll pick up where we left off. So if you're watching this show and Jamie helped you, but you have questions, you can email them to me, because I'm going to do a second show with Jamie, and then maybe he can answer them for you, or maybe you can Google them.
Yeah.
but it's better to hear from the expert, and Jamie is a highly recommended expert, and he is going to be helping me with my platforms. Jamie, thank you so much for taking the time. What time is it in Ireland? It's midnight now?
Oh, let me see. It is, no, it's not quite midnight. It's 20 to 11.
Oh my goodness. Sorry, I'm keeping you out of bed.
No, it's all right. I'm a bit of a night owl, you know. I usually stay up late.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Jamie. And if you're someone watching this show, I suspect you have an interest in SEOs. And I hope that Jamie has answered any questions you may have. If not, I will leave his information here. You can contact him directly. And I thank you for watching Conversations with Jennylyn. As always, I try to bring you the best. And I will see you next time with another amazing guest. Thank you.
Broadcasting from Silicon Valley, California, this is Conversations with Jennylyn.